Hello. For starters, I'm not referring to any of you as dummies. However, I have been posting all kinds of things on Facebook, the different groups here in Bay County in the Panhandle about code enforcement. And there is a 51-minute video that is by a corporate attorney turned private attorney general named Jeff Ball. And I get it. Watching a 51-minute video by someone who speaks so slowly about such minutia is about as fun as watching paint dry. So I'm going to try to break it down for you in the best cliff notes that I can. I'm not a lawyer. I have been a realtor. I have been a stockbroker. Now I dump trash at car washes and ride around on a tractor and do work. I'm just a normal guy. I am not giving you legal advice. I am just simply stating what is on the video. Code is not law. And this week, we saw code enforcement tear someone's house down here in Bay County and made 6 people homeless. Did they have the power to do that? Well, after I break this down for you, you tell me. I've had a million comments from people that are saying, "Oh, you can't fight City Hall. You can't win. There's going to be they're going to win. It's just no point. Just give up." Or I've heard, "Oh yeah, you're one of those crazies that's into the sovereign citizen stuff, and you'll never get any traction in court like that either." Not the deal. For those of you who didn't want to watch the video, let me try to break it down for you as quickly as possible. Once again, it is a video called Code is Not Law. And I tried to break down a written statement that I'm going to sign for every piece of property I have that has my name and a list of what was in the video telling these people I'm out. But let me start at the beginning. For those of you that think code enforcement is the government has power over us, and we just have to take it. Wrong answer. Code enforcement is not the government. They're not elected. They're a private entity. I'm not even sure how they were formed. Somebody decided we needed a code, somebody that would benefit, and, it helps them out. But a code was written. There is a private entity that wants to run around with little badges and enforce this code. Now, their civil entity is no different than you getting in a divorce, or you get sick, you get injured and you hire a lawyer to sue another person. It's 2 individuals. They happen to be a corporation, private entity, but it's not the government. When you get a ticket from them, it says civil on the top of it. Same thing with a dog catcher. It is 2 people just like you and your neighbor. Now, what they're doing is not hocus pocus and it's not power. What this guy explains is that it is contract law. A contract is a piece of paper that you sign and agree to with somebody else something. What's happening here is that whoever wrote this code, they post it and they say, "Here's the deal for everybody living here." And if you don't say, no, stop, I'm out, they assume that you're okay with it, and they assume you give them jurisdiction to rule over you. And then they get you into a court where the judge, the administrator, says, "Well, did you break this agreement?" And you don't know any better. And you say, "I don't know." And pretty much it's handed down because you have no idea of what your rights are. A contract has to be mutually beneficial between two parties, and there has to be full disclosure, or there is no contract. Also, show me where I signed the thing. Show me where I agreed to anything. That's what's happening here. You signed nothing, I signed nothing, but they declared it. And if you don't fight back, if you don't say, whoa, I'm out, I'm not agreeing to this nonsense, they can assume that you have. They can assume that there's a contract. But this is not hocus pocus. This is not the government declaring something that is a law. And people go, oh, there's state statute on pretty much every job that's out there. Commercial fishermen, bankers. I mean, anything that's out there. It doesn't mean the government has put their stamp of approval or endorses anything. It's just stating that here's the rules that they have to play by. Now, if those guys come out and hand you a ticket, it is a second-degree misdemeanor not to sign it. So sign the sucker. That doesn't mean anything. You go to court, you tell them I'm not playing ball. I've written a letter that basically breaks down everything that the guy, Jeff Ball, the private attorney general, stated was the deal killer. And you need to tell your neighbors. You got to know what's going on, or they will assume that you're okay with them ruling over you. Well, I'm not. This is America. I'm a United States Marine. None of my brothers died for property values, and freedom doesn't mean you can tell me what to do with what's mine. I have worked my fingers to the bone for years for what's mine. The family that just lost their house, that was their house, not code enforcement's. I personally watched the house that was torn down on Joan Avenue, and there were code enforcement guys just giggling and laughing, kind of what's being described that happened to the 6 people that are now homeless this week. And they don't have any real power other than what happens when you walk in and you put your hand in the air and you swear in front of this, what you think is a real judge. It's no different. I made an example of if you and your neighbor were having a little bit of a spat, so your neighbor decides that they're going to make up their own code. Write it down. There are only red trucks allowed in this neighborhood. They post it. Well, you find yourself getting handed a ticket because you have a blue car. You have to come to court, and guess who's in a robe as the judge? Your neighbor's mom. Who do you think's going to win here? Because the mom says, well, did you disobey the blue truck rule? Or red truck rule? Yes, I guess I'm guilty. It's insanity. If there is no contract, and it goes back to, is there an actual physical person that is injured so that they have the right to go into court and say that you have injured me, you owe me money, you owe me some form of compensation for the way you injured me? If that hasn't happened, you have no responsibility or right, no responsibility to give up your freedom, to give up your jurisdiction to anybody and let them have the control to rule over you. To decide a matter between two parties, you and whoever, in this case code enforcement. If you haven't done anything, then it comes back to a contract. Have you signed a contract? Did you agree to it? Or, in the case of everybody in the panhandle, it seems, are you just playing along because you don't know any better? You don't know that you don't have to agree. That you don't have to give them the power. Was there equal consideration in this contract? Are you benefiting? You tell me. Code enforcement has to go. We have to shut them down. Someone else should not be allowed to run around and dictate what I do on my property. This is America. What happened to freedom?